Hey, hi. My name is Jeannie, and this is my podcast. So you think you can write? And I have with me a very special guest, besides my dog, of course, Bacon, who's my co-host. Um, so without further ado, I'd like you to introduce yourself, ma'am.
Oh, hi. Thanks, Jeannie. Thank you so much for inviting me on your show. My name's Pat Backley. I'm an author. I live in New Zealand. I actually emigrated here when I was 59, so 11 years, 12 years ago now. So I'm a very new Kiwi, but I came from England. You can probably tell by my
Yeah. Yeah, that's why yeah, when I heard you, I'm like, oh, British accent. But then when you said, oh, New Zealand.
accent.
So how did you start writing books? When did you start writing books?
I started 18 months ago.
Oh, wow, pretty
I
new.
know, pretty
Yeah.
old. I was almost 70 when I published my first one.
Wow.
I It was the start of lockdown, March 2020. Oh, seems a lifetime ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I just celebrated my 69th birthday all alone. Um, yeah, it was pretty miserable. So I spent the next few weeks lying on the sofa watching rubbish on Netflix and eating too much chocolate, like most people probably did. And then one day I thought, Pat, this is ridiculous. Just get a grip, do something. Why don't you write a book? So I got up, found bits of paper, spread them all over the house. And 3 weeks later, I'd written my first book, this
Oh,
one
that's
called
so cute.
Backley. So
Wow.
that was very exciting. So that's how I started. And since then, I've published two more, co authored a coffee table book, an American coffee table book, and I'm just about to publish two other books. So
Wow.
six books in 18 months. And I've got
Wow.
two more in the writing stage. So now I've started, you can't stop me. It's like somebody's taken off the top of my head and 70 years worth of words are just flying out. They've obviously always been there. They just needed to get out on paper.
Oh, okay. So what was what's your background? Do you have any like um how did you, because obviously like in my case I did like literature for a few like 2 years and stuff. So do you have any background in writing?
None at all. I came from a pretty ordinary family, so university was not an option. I
Mm.
went to work when I was 16. I went to work in the bank, did 10 years there. I always loved writing letters. You're too young to remember, but in the days when people used to write letters, I used to write big, big fat letters, 10, 12 pages. I'm sure people got very bored reading them, but that was kind of my outlet. And a few times, I mean, when I was a little girl, I wanted to be an author, but I wanted to be an archaeologist, an author, an architect, a missionary. My list was endless. So I never did anything about it. And then a few times over the years, I just wrote little bits down and thought I really would love to be able to do this properly, but life just takes over. So then I got married when I was very young, and we started a business when I gave up the bank, and then I worked for charities for a few years doing fundraising. Then I did home educating for small children. I've done property developing. I've run another business training construction workers. So yeah, my list is pretty, and lots of voluntary work in between. So nothing related to writing, but all those things have given me enormous amounts of stuff as inspiration. So I guess that's why I don't run out of things to write, because I've had such a vast life experience and I've lived abroad and, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think as writers, we have to be a sponge. We absorb stuff. And that was in my case as well. As my book coach always told me, there's always a book inside of you waiting to be written. And I think you're a testament to that, no matter where your background is, banking, business, um, and no matter what age you are as well, you can start writing a book at any time, which is kind of interesting because last night I interviewed a 9-year-old boy,
Oh,
and he,
wow.
yeah, he wrote a book and he's working on book two. So there really is no limit. There's always a book waiting to be written, and that's what it's about. So tell me more about your book, Daisy. What is it about?
Okay, well, it's a historical family saga. Starts in 1887, goes through to 1974. and it's about two different kinds of families. One in Alabama, in the States, and the other in the slums of London. And then the story weaves. Those two people don't actually get together, but the story weaves the two families together over the generations. So it touches on a lot of stuff like racism and poverty and snobbery. And in fact, it's just it and the sequel, which was just published, have been selected to be promoted during Black History Month in the States. I'm very
Wow.
excited because
Wow.
they touch on quite a lot of those things, just gently, not not in a preachy way, just gently. And then just I was never going to write a sequel. It was going to be just a standalone book. And then towards the end of last year, I just woke up one day and I thought, oh, I think I need to bring those characters back to life. So I got
Mm.
out more paper, started again. And so the second Daisy was then published just before Christmas. And that continues the story almost up to the new millennium, to like
Mhm.
1998 or something. So that's been fabulous to just, when you make up these characters, they kind of become part of your family. I don't know if you write fiction, but so when the book's done, it's like a bereavement because you've lost all these people that were so much part of your life. I mean, I talk about my characters as if they're real.
Mhm.
I find myself talking to friends and I say, "Oh, you remember what Daisy did?" And they look at me quite vacantly, like, "Oh my goodness, she's lost it." She's but so it was wonderful to revive them all. And now lots of people have said, "Oh, you're going to do a third one, aren't you?" Um, but I've kind of switched on to another. I will probably do another one, but I've switched on to a new series now, which is called The Ancestors. I'm writing the stories loosely based on my own ancestors, people I never knew, but I've heard their stories. So,
Mm.
and because they were ordinary people, their stories will never be heard. So I kind of feel it's my job. So the first one will be published next month, and that's loosely based on my grandfather's life. He died when I was 17, but I know heaps about him, and the bits I don't know I've made up. So that will be a whole series as well. It's just huge, and I've written my memoirs in between,
Wow.
and co-authored this American coffee table book. So life is hugely exciting at the age of almost 71 now. So
I know. So there really is no limits. You can start as young as you like, and you can start at any time. In my case as well, like I started also just like over 2 years ago. So yeah, there's really nothing that can stop you as long as you focus on that story that needs to be put on paper. So are you also are you self-published or traditionally published or a hybrid author?
no, I'm self-published,
Mhm.
Julie, because I thought at my age I haven't got the time to hang around waiting to get noticed.
Mhm.
Um, and so I finished Daisy, and I thought, now what do? I have no idea how to publish a book. So I went on the internet, got lots of information, and got completely lost because I knew nothing about all these
Mhm.
subjects. And at my age, I'm not the most computer literate. I mean, I'm pretty good, but I didn't grow up with computers, so it's not a natural thing for me. So I panicked a bit, did more research, and then I found this thing called the Self-Publishing School in the States, run
Ah.
by a very vibrant young man. Um, and and I just investigated them, got in touch with them, had a phone call, paid them some money, and I was away because their system is so good. They teach you absolutely everything you need to know. But it's all done by distance learning. So it's done at your pace, and which suited me because I could do it, I could whiz through it really quickly because having made the decision to write, I didn't want to hang around. So I quickly learned all the bits I needed to learn, missed out the bits that I thought, oh, I can shelf those, do those another time. And just got on with it. And yeah, and just published. Well, I finished writing Daisy in July, and it was published by August. So,
Wow.
sorry, by October. October. I finished it at
Mhm.
the end of July, and I published in October. So that was pretty good. And it's and but I did all the right things. I found a professional editor who still edits all my books. I found a very good formatting company. And then I call him my publishing angel because I was too terrified about pressing the wrong buttons to get the
Oh.
more for others. Southampton. So I found this guy who helped me. So that's my little team now. So they help me with all my books, and we've got a wonderful system going. So it's kind of like my own little publishing organization, but we all just work together as freelancers.
Yeah. Can I look at your book cover because it's really pretty? So who made that
Yeah.
book cover, or was it your
Well,
idea?
I designed it myself.
Oh
On a
wow.
piece of A4 paper in yellow felt tip pen, and then because I had a very clear idea of what I wanted, and then I sent it off to the cover designer, and they kind of smartened it up. And then on the back, it's just got a few quotes from inside the book. So
Oh.
it's very simple. They said to me, "Do you want your photo on it?" I said, "No, no, no. I'm an old lady. I don't want my photo on it. I'd rather people just read it not knowing what I look like." And then
Mm.
the second daisy, this is actually the proof, so it's got lines across, but this is the sequel, the second
Oh.
daisy. Um, and that one, the daisy is edged in black because the second daisy is actually black. So
Oh.
that's that.
Ah.
And then my memoirs, I designed this one as well. This cover,
Wow.
you can't see it very well. That's the house I grew up in. So it's just a very little government house. And then I lived for a long time in the tropics. So this is the tropics on that side. And that one does have a photograph, actually 2 photographs of me. One when I was a little girl, which is very acceptable. I don't mind that. And this one with my big Fijian friend Joe, which is fine. So, but that's the only time I've allowed photos.
Oh, so you lived in Fiji or like?
I lived in Fiji. Yes, yeah, for 2 years
Wow.
when I was in my 20s. So that was a big deal because you're like a sponge at that age. But I still have huge connections. I have this extended Fijian family, and I used to before COVID go there all the time. And
Wow. That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
exciting.
I know. So someone like designed your book cover. Is it part of your team or someone you just hire like a freelancer or something?
No, they're part of the formatting company.
Ah.
So the first 2 books were done by a company called I'll have to look what they're called. 100 covers. That's right, 100 covers.
Oh, yeah.
The first 2, and then this one, the second daisy, was done by my formatters who are now doing book covers as well. Oh no, 100 covers did that. They've done them all. My next book is designed. Would you like a peek at my next cover?
I know, yeah, because it really is pretty. It's eye-catching. And
This is the cover of my new series. Can you see
oh
that?
wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's actually a picture of my grandfather. We found an old photograph, and the
Wow.
cover designer popped it onto the background, which is obviously a London background.
Yeah.
So it's great fun. I mean, I've always done a bit of painting, so it kind of fulfills that creativity in me as well to design my covers. But obviously, then I pass them on to the cover designer to do a proper professional version of my image. My little scrappy bit on a piece of paper in felt tip doesn't cut it really.
Yeah. And that's I think that's the lesson for self-published authors, especially the my listeners. Because you don't have to do it all. I
No,
mean, yeah, because I heard of some people and I tried to do it all myself as well, but you need help. You need editors, you need book cover, like artists and stuff like that, and you need teachers as well. So because I have learned from several self-publishing online study groups and stuff, and I still continue to do that. So it's more about always the learning process. Yeah.
mm,
Mhm.
yeah, and I found that I love learning and research, which is quite ironic because I left school at 16 and I wasn't very interested in
Ah,
learning then. And now at my age, I absolutely love it. Because I write historical novels primarily, I have to do a lot of research, and I just adore it. I mean, I've found a whole new avenue of life. It's just, yeah. And so education is wasted on the young, I think. You should get to start it once you're retired and my kind of age, and then you really, really enjoy it.
yeah, I always believe in like the school of life. Life really is learning outside of school, because in my case as well, I learned more outside of school than I learned inside of school, because they just teach you the basics, but they don't really teach you about life, and how to experience life and how to make mistakes and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. And even things like history. I mean, I liked history at school, but I never really retained any of the knowledge. But now I do my own research. I'm actually learning about how real ordinary people lived. And that's much more interesting than just the bare facts, like, this king was born then and this one died then. And, to actually learn about John Smith, who lived and worked in a coal mine or something like that, much more exciting. So
Mhm.
I feel very blessed that I've actually discovered this love of research at this point in my life.
That's good. It's never too late as well.
Never, no.
Never. Always learn. So what is your writing process like? Because obviously in 18 months you produced a lot of work. Do you
Yes.
have like a schedule that you stick to, a word count, or like a deadline?
I kind of set myself mental deadlines because I've found over the years I work best under pressure. So I kind of decide, I mean, with the first book, Daisy, that was, I stayed up 2 weeks, day and night. I got barely any sleep because I just wanted to get it all out of my head. Since then, I haven't been quite so crazy, but I get an idea and I start writing, and then I can't stop. So I'll write non-stop for maybe 2 or 3 days and barely sleep, until the idea is kind of formulated. And then I'm more disciplined. I'll just come back to I've got my office in the house, so I just come back and do a bit. But I'm very bad at getting diverted. I'll think, right, okay, now I'm going to write a whole chapter, and I'll start. Then I think, oh, I'm just going to make a cup of coffee. So I go to the kitchen, and 2 hours later, I find myself in the garden doing some weeding. So I'm not good. I'm not very good at self-discipline on a daily basis. But if I know I've got a deadline, then I work to it. So I try to set myself deadlines, like this book will be launched by this date because I'm going to invite all these people to a book launch. So I've
Mhm,
kind of got to do it.
mhm.
Um, but no, I wouldn't say I'm very disciplined, although I am a bit of a perfectionist. So I guess I know I've got to do it, but I do it when it suits me. If it means staying up till 3 in the morning, I'll do it. Um,
Okay.
so probably not a very good role model for your for your listeners. They probably want to hear that you sit and do 2,000 words a day and stuff like that. I might do 20,000 words in one day and then nothing for 4 or 5 days because I'm too
Oh.
busy cutting my roses or going out and having coffee with my friends or walking on the beach or something. So I'm probably not the right role model for most people. But what I do believe, Jeannie, is that you should write as your heart dictates. If you try and force it looks forced. I've got a few friends who've kind of been a bit inspired by me, so now they're writing books, which is wonderful. And they've asked me for advice. And one of them said, "Oh, Pat, I just don't feel in the mood." I said, "Well, don't do it. Don't do it. Wait till you're in the mood. It will just come to you. And then you won't have any alternative. You'll have to." Sometimes I just have to write. I can't, my brain doesn't allow me to do anything else. I think, right, today, got to write, and then I might sit and write all day until 11 o'clock at night and love
Mm.
it. I mean, I just love writing. I don't find it a chore. The only thing I really find a chore is the marketing, which is
Ah.
every one of your questions. I'm learning and I'm getting better at it, but it's not my favorite thing because I'm not good at pushing myself. It feels a bit like boasting. When all the years I worked for charities, I was very good at pushing the charities, getting them publicity and money and blah, blah, blah. But to do it for myself seems somehow, yeah, not so good.
Oh, okay. How are you marketing your books though? I mean, speaking of marketing, like, how are you marketing yourself, using social media, or do you do it, as you said, like, do you do it yourself, or?
Yeah, at the moment, I've been doing it myself. I use social media. I don't advertise on social media, but I promote. Like I'm always doing quotes from my book or popping on reviews because I'm getting some great reviews, and just things like that. When there's a new book come out, I mention that. So I do Facebook and Amazon. And LinkedIn. And not Amazon, sorry, Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. Obviously, my books are on Amazon. My books are on all the leading retailers. They're also in some of the libraries here in New
Mm-hmm.
Zealand. I do quite a lot of interviews like this. And I've met some fabulous people by doing that. You know, people that I would never normally have crossed paths with. Like the other week, I was interviewed by an ex-Sicilian mafia guy who'd spent
Wow.
13 years in prison.
Wow.
And he's now out, and he's an author. And you know, so I'm meeting all these different. Oh, and then I was on a TV show called 50 Shades of Over 50, where this
Oh.
lady interviews ladies over the age of 50 who've kind of done something out of the ordinary. So if I hadn't written the books, I would never be having all these experiences. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty good. And I go to book fairs. Well, when we can have them. COVID's obviously stopped that. And I do talks. Like last week, I talked to the ladies' executive group, and I just love all that. And once the schools are open, I'll be going into schools and talking to them. So yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of promoting myself, but I have to say I'm getting a bit weary because it takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried paid advertising, but to be honest, for me, it hasn't worked yet. Although I did it, in fairness, I did it on my first book. Like it had been out a week, so I was all very excited and enthusiastic. So I paid a lot of money to BookBub, and got virtually no results. So that kind of put me off a bit. I do a few of the little newsletters, like Fussy Librarian and those kind of lit nuts and those kind of things. It's quite hard to tell if you're getting very many results because, you know, I don't suddenly have a great spike. Sometimes I'll have a little spike in my sales and I have no idea why because I haven't advertised. And so I guess a lot of it is word of mouth, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't lie to you or your readers and say that I enjoy marketing, albeit it's easy, because both of those things are quite negative. But I am now at the point of considering maybe taking on a publicist on a very small scale, just to
Mhm.
help me, just to, you know, to break into some of those markets like the magazines, just to make a bit of a difference in so it's not so hard for me because it's hard. Marketing is the hardest bit. Writing the books is so easy. Marketing is the hard bit.
I know I'm in the same we're on the same boat too, but I'm taking like ad school right now, so it's a learning curve.
Mm.
Um but I realized it's a necessary evil because if you know, it's like similar to if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it,
Yeah.
you know, does it really make a sound? So same with our books as well. If we write a book and no one's there to read it, we don't attract as many readers as we want. So no one's going to appreciate. We need the readers and we need to reach out to them. And that is one of the many challenges of self-publishing.
Yes. I'm just going to shut my window. We've got a helicopter flying over.
Oh, okay.
We never have helicopters ever, or anything. But they're building a new development and a retirement village kind of down in the dip, from where I am. And apparently, the only way to get the building materials is by helicopter. Can you believe?
Wow.
So for the last couple of weeks, we've had these helicopters flying, you know, and it's quite terrifying because you see them with these enormous concrete beams, you know, waving in the air across all these people's houses. Luckily, not mine because I'm up on the hill, but yeah, quite terrifying.
Yeah, that's an unusual way to construct buildings.
It's
Like,
very, very unusual. Yes, yeah, not very safe. But anyway, that's it. I should probably use that in a book sometime.
yeah, but do you live near a beach or something?
Yes, I
Because
do. Yeah, I'm about
ah,
3 minutes in the car to the beach. So
wow.
that's lovely. Yes, and it's a very lovely beach. And coming from England, where you had to like drive for an hour to get to a beach, this is, you know, New Zealand is we're very blessed. We've got beaches everywhere. So yeah, it's a real bonus.
I'm sure it's very pretty there. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm planning on visiting in the near future to visit my friend who lives over there. I don't know which island she lives in. I have to research because I'm not very familiar with geography there.
Okay, well, if you're anywhere near me, we should meet up for a coffee. That would be nice.
Oh yeah, definitely. I hope so. I have to find out though. Yeah, I'll keep your contact information and stuff because yeah, I want to learn more about like in person, like your book and stuff because it's really pretty. I mean, it's eye catching right now, and that's one of the importance as well of in self-publishing. They say like don't judge a book by its cover, but actually in self-publishing you have to judge a book by its cover because that's the first thing that our readers see is the book cover.
Yes.
And yeah, and I just like to say you did an amazing job because it is like the yellow stands out and the daisy stands out, and then you're immediately you know you just look at like, oh, I wonder what this is about. I have to check what the story is about. And that's a good lesson actually for the listeners.
Yes. Oh, thank you. That's kind of you. I was just going to say one more thing about marketing.
Mhm.
Several people have said to me, why didn't you just try and get a publisher? And I said that I'm too old, I haven't got time to wait around. I said, but the other thing is, this way I'm totally in control. I can choose my book covers, I can choose how it gets printed, what paper, blah, blah, what size, everything. And they said, yeah, but if you had a publisher, they would do all the marketing for you. And I said, actually not. Unless you're with one of the big 5 publishers and you're a big name, like
Mhm.
J.K. Rowling or something. I said, most of the other people have to end up doing their own marketing anyway. So you really don't achieve much except you lose a whole heap of your royalties to the publisher. Whereas this way, you give some to Amazon, but the rest you keep. So I think as long as you're prepared to put in the work, self-publishing is a great way to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way because of the freedom that we have
Yes,
and the flexibility.
yes,
And I really wouldn't have it any other way. And it's an amazing avenue for writers. And all we really need to do, aside from write our books, is connect with our readers. And once we find that pool of readers, that would be amazing.
yes.
Mhm. Yeah. So do you have any final advice or any words of wisdom to share to people that want to go into the self-publishing route?
I would just say, just do it. Just do it. I'm an absolute prime example of it's never too late. Um, if you've got even an inkling in your head that you want to write a book, just write it down. Even if it doesn't make sense, at some time the moment will be right, and you will pull all those thoughts together and write a fabulous book that everyone wants to read. But more importantly, you will go to your grave leaving a legacy of a book. Whereas I think I read somewhere that something like 88% of the world's population want to write a book. Only 1% actually write and publish a book. The
Wow.
rest of the people go to their grave with their book still in their head. So I would just say to your readers, don't be one of those 88% people. Just get on and write it. Even if you think it's rubbish, it probably isn't, because if it's in your head, it needs to be out there.
I know. It's always like it's a form of self-expression as well, as you said, and also, yeah, a form of legacy. There's stories that really need to be told, need to be heard as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for your time. And if you have any websites and stuff, you can promote it. I will put it in my show notes on YouTube and my podcast. But can you tell the listeners and the viewers where it is?
Yes, of course. My website is just patbackley.com, so it's very easy. Um, and then, yeah, and then that's got all the information about my books and a bit about me. And I will be delighted if you want to read my books. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for the interview, Jeannie. It's been fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it so much. And
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Bye.